got the suit out. That can only mean I'm reviewing Casino. Did it for Goodfellas, gotta do it for Casino. What's up, movie lovers? Thanks for clicking on my channel. Released in 1995, Casino is a crime drama classic directed by Martin Scorsese and starring Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Sharon Stone. It tells the story of the mafia's golden era in Las Vegas during the 1970s before it all comes tumbling down in the 1980s. This film is easily in my top 4 favorite Martin Scorsese films, which is really saying something. And although it often gets compared unfavorably to Goodfellas, I actually think it's the better film. The characters in this film are higher up on the mafia food chain than they are in Goodfellas, and as a result, you feel as though that the characters have more agency and that the stakes are much, much higher. So Robert De Niro is the main character in this film, and he plays Sam Ace Rothstein, who is a bookie who moved from Chicago, they never really call it Chicago, but it's Chicago, to Las Vegas, and he just wants to run his casino, have everything be absolutely legitimate, and still make money for his mob bosses back home. When Joe Pesci gets sent out to Las Vegas to keep an eye on things, all those plans pretty much go up in flames, and yeah, nothing ends up well for any of our main characters, does it? And this is one of those movies where all of the characters are pretty flawed, putting it nicely. So if that's not your style of movie, you might kind of be turned off by it. And even though they are awful people, you can also understand completely where they're coming from. Robert De Niro just wants to run his casino, have everything be legitimate, kind of wash his hands and get on with his life, and he has all these crazy people around him. Joe Pesci wants to just take over the city, and Sharon Stone actually kind of gets sold a lie, and she just kind of wants to collect on what was promised to her. And some of the best parts of the movie are when they show just how competent Robert De Niro's character is and how good he is at what he does. It's really cool having someone kind of like take you by the shoulder and be like, hey, this is how this scam works, this is how he's able to tell, and this is what they do about it. For as smart and competent of a guy as Robert De Niro's character is in this movie, he has a massive ego, and he actually thinks that he can buy love and that he can treat human beings the way he would a casino game, which is not the case. And given how complex every character is and how good the performances are, every time you watch this movie, you can pick up on something new, or you can almost watch an entirely different movie depending on whose character you kind of latch on to. Case in point, Sharon Stone. The first couple times I watched this movie as a kid, yeah, I should not have watched it as a kid, but I did. But the first few times I watched this movie, I just hated her character. I thought she was so selfish and greedy and manipulative, and she kind of is. But the more I watch it, the more I kind of sympathize with her character. She was told that she could leave this marriage at any time, and when she tries to, she's just trapped, and that kind of fuels her acting more and more erratically and just completely out of her mind. Another amazing aspect of this movie is just how unbelievably funny it is, and it's the kind of humor that I always love the most. It's the humor that comes from the performances and the pettiness between people and the insults and the bickering. Like, I shouldn't be laughing when Robert De Niro tells the guy he's gonna have to learn with his other hand, but in context, the way he delivers that line, it is pretty funny. That's always one of my favorite parts of Martin Scorsese's movies. He's always really funny, but he kind of has a wry, slightly messed up sense of humor. And this movie probably has my all-time favorite cameo by Martin Scorsese's mother in it, and it is one of the funniest scenes in the movie. You have this mobster going over all the details of how they're ripping each other off and this and that, and he goes, I write down every fucking penny, and his mom is there and she's like, since when do you talk like that? He's like, no, I'm sorry, Mom, but look what they're doing. Yeah, I know, just watch your language. Fucking hysterical, I love it. Another one of my favorite moments of comedic relief in the film is when a kid has the nerve to go up to Robert De Niro and Sharon Stone and just tell them how beautiful he thinks Sharon Stone is, and then you go to Robert De Niro's voiceover and he's like, yeah, nice kid. Can you believe the fucking balls on this kid? The next day I fired him. Just so funny, that pettiness, those fragile egos, people stepping on each other's toes and just getting pissy about it. And comparing this film to Goodfellas again, since all the characters have more power and they have more autonomy and they feel like they're in more control of their situation, that just means that when they do face their downfall, they only have themselves to blame, and I think that makes it more relatable. Not that any of us are crime lords who have had it all ripped away from us, but I feel like it's a very human thing to look back at things in your life that you've done wrong and just kind of think to yourself, it's because I was this kind of person that I made those decisions, and I kind of regret them. The violence in this movie also might be a tough pill for a lot of people to swallow. I'm weird. I was watching this movie as a kid when I absolutely should not have been, but there you go. Even though I've seen this movie a ton of times, the ending scene in the cornfield, you know what I'm talking about if you've seen that movie, and it still always makes me sick to my stomach. That brutal ending is exactly what this movie needed, though, to kind of feel whole, and that's another thing I always love about Scorsese. He's not afraid to go all out if that's what the story calls for. The final shot or two of this film is also another one of Scorsese's best endings. When the music comes swelling in, you just get this rush of emotion and you really feel the sense of loss that the characters feel. Speaking of loss, that's what this movie is. It's Paradise Lost done by Martin Scorsese. These people who had everything, but due to their own arrogance, greed, and just stubbornness, lose it all. So I don't think this is going to shock anyone, but for me, Casino is without a doubt an S-tier movie. It is as close to perfect as filmmaking gets, and I absolutely adore it. So those are my thoughts on Casino, but enough about me. What do you think of the movie? And what are your favorite Martin Scorsese movies? Let me know in the comments below. I'm sure I've asked that question before, but screw it, I'll ask it again. And if you like this video, there's probably another video popping up here that you might enjoy. If you like any of these bands back here, you'll probably like my channel. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you at the next video.